Streaming services that appeal to a larger variety of viewers than just anime fans have begun to add anime to their rotation, acknowledging that the medium is more than just a niche concern. On Netflix right now, there are anime films that run the gamut from old classics to modern hits. Here are some of the very best. Before Hayao Miyazaki was a household name, he got his start co-writing and directing the 1979 film Lupin III, The Castle of Cagliostro. For this debut, he got to work with the international thief character Arsène Lupin, intellectual property of Monkey Punch Kazuhiko Kato, who himself borrowed the idea from French novelist Maurice Leblanc. Lupin is the cheeky thief who likes to announce his heists before enacting them, dragging his loyal co-conspirators like Daisuke Jigen into the fray, and getting sidetracked by the sexy Fujiko Mine. Those familiar with the Lupin III franchise will readily admit that Miyazaki's take on the character differs hugely from Monkey Punch's original manga, as well as from the countless anime adaptations that followed it. In Cagliostro, Lupin discovers that he recently absconded with tons of counterfeit cash and decides to find its source. Once there, he meets a young lady named Clarice who is betrothed, against her will, to Count Cagliostro. Lupin strikes a deal with his longtime nemesis, Interpol's Inspector Zenigata, to rescue Clarice from this dismal fate. Lupin's unselfish actions in this film aren't in keeping with the gentleman thief's usual modus operandi, but it is interesting to see how the film presages many of the themes and techniques Miyazaki would use in his films for years to come. Miyazaki is not the only director whose lesser-known works have found a niche at Netflix. Makoto Shinkai has recently enjoyed fame with his 2016 hit film Your Name. He was directing plenty of films before that, however, including 2013's The Garden of Words. At the start of this short, moody film, high school student Takao Akizuki chooses to skip school in favor of sketching shoes in the garden at Shinjuku Gyoen, a large park in Tokyo. While there, he runs into Yukari Yukino, a mysterious 27-year-old woman who is skipping work to enjoy beer and chocolate in the park. All through the rainy season, the two meet up and get to know each other, and Takao becomes more and more invested in becoming a shoemaker and making a pair of shoes for Yukari. When Yukari's job and her reasons for neglecting it become known, the pair finds themselves being pulled apart by the pressures of society. There's heaps of drama to be had in only 46 minutes, and if you can get over the questionable adult-teen relationship, the film is an absolute treat for the eyes, especially the garden scenery. For those looking for a real tearjerker, Netflix has the exceptional teenage drama A Silent Voice, based on the 7-volume manga of the same name by Yoshitoki Oima. The film begins with protagonist Shoya Ishida as an elementary schooler learning that his class has a new student, Shoko Nishimiya. He and some other boys in his class begin to pick on her, especially after they all find out that she is deaf.
You know something? We're all sick of you and your notebook.
Fast forward to high school, and Shoya regrets the selfish actions of his early childhood. Actions which ultimately led him to being ostracized in the same way he was attempting to ostracize Shoko. He runs into her by chance and realizes that he wants to make amends for the way he treated her, and as the two begin to navigate this rocky friendship, Shoya is able to learn how to make friends with others as well. This is a truly beautiful film which tackles big issues like bullying, disability, and regret with sensitivity and an excellent sense of narrative drama. Just make sure you have a box of tissues alongside your popcorn. You'll need it for the climax, for sure. Though high school dramas make up a great deal of anime offerings, there are a fair number of historical selections available as well. In This Corner of the World gives viewers a glimpse of an average woman's life in the chaos of World War II. Suzu, an innocent young woman from Iba in Hiroshima, gets married to a man named Shusaku, a Navy civilian. She moves to his family's home in Kure and there must contend with the rapidly shifting expectations placed upon her as a housewife and a citizen living during wartime, as well as the return of her childhood friend, Tetsu. The film largely takes place from 1944 through 1945, toward the end of World War II, but also provides glimpses of pre- and post-atomic bomb Hiroshima, with the early war years depicted as more carefree and humorous, giving way to a more anxious tone as time passes. The fearsome tools of war are a grim contrast to the traditional, close-to-nature culture of Hiroshima. This is another film where a handkerchief would not go unused. Another historical film, Miss Hokusai, is based on the real-life artist Katsushika Oi, daughter of the famous Hokusai. It takes place during the Edo period, when Hokusai is already in his 50s and considered a renowned artist in Japan. Oi is one of his 4 daughters, and she lives with him and must put up with his many flaws, all while completing many of his commissions without any recognition. The pair live more like roommates than father and daughter, and the film explores their turbulent relationship, as well as Oi's relationship with her half-sister, the blind and sickly Onao. This is one of those movies that is far more about characters than plot, but the characters are so alive, and the animation, especially when bringing the artist's paintings to life, is absolutely lovely. It also provides some insight into the life of a beloved painter through his relationships with others, as well as the all-too-familiar story of a brilliant woman whose work is overshadowed by the important men in her life. Netflix may not have any of the Studio Ghibli films for North American streaming, but aside from Miyazaki's film debut with Lupin III, they also have Studio Ponok's Mary and the Witch's Flower. Studio Ponok was founded by Ghibli alumnus Yoshiaki Nishimura, and this initial work from the studio definitely bears a resemblance to the works of Ghibli, both visually and in tone and theme. The movie, based on Mary Stewart's novel The Little Broomstick, follows the young Mary Smith, who has just moved into her great-aunt Charlotte's very English estate. Mary is bored while she waits for her parents to arrive and for school to start, and she unfortunately has no aptitude for helping out with anything around the house. She chooses to explore the estate's grounds and finds herself following a pair of cats into the woods, where she discovers a strange purple flower.
Beautiful.
This flower grants her the power to fly a broomstick, which whisks her away to a magical school where she learns that there are drawbacks to wielding magic powers. This is a very fun and sweet film, appropriate for the very young but still enjoyable for adult viewers who retain a sense of whimsy. Those who are familiar with video games might recognize the title NiNoKuni, which is a series of titles in the fantasy role-playing game genre. The film, which was directed by Studio Ghibli animator Yoshiyuki Momose, and showcases music from Hayao Miyazaki's longtime collaborator Joe Hisaishi, has a standalone story separate from any of the game plots. In the film, Yu and Haru travel to a fantasy world to save their dying friend Kotona, who has a counterpart in this world who is likewise in trouble. This alternate reality is populated by adorable fantasy creatures, grave dangers, and plenty of magic. So once again, even though Studio Ghibli films are not available on Netflix, those who love the look and feel of works like Howl's Moving Castle or Castle in the Sky will find NiNoKuni provides a similar thrilling magical adventure. It's useful to note that viewers don't need to have any familiarity with the game series in order to enjoy this film. Relationships are at the core of the 3 stories in the Chinese-Japanese anthology film Flavors of Youth. The movie is split into 3 parts: The Rice Noodles, A Little Fashion Show, and Love in Shanghai. All 3 are set in different areas of modern China, but they take plenty of time to look into each other's characters' past as well. In The Rice Noodles, Zhou Ming monologues about time spent with his grandmother while eating Sanjian noodles, lamenting his inability to find quite the same flavor since he has grown up and moved out of his parents' home. A Little Fashion Show explores the relationship between a successful model, Yu Lin, who is providing for her younger sister, Lulu, a student with dreams of fashion design. Yulin is putting herself under extra pressure, concerned that her aging will get in the way of her career. She starves herself while Lulu tries to remind her to take care of herself. The final segment, Love in Shanghai, chronicles the story of Li Mo, a too-serious architect who discovers a cassette tape from his childhood friend, Zhou Yu, among his belongings after he moves. He had neglected to listen to Zhou Yu's message when they were still kids, and doing so would have changed the entire course of his life afterward.
No matter what I do, I can't get you out of my mind.
At about 75 minutes, this Netflix original anime film is beautifully animated and touchingly melancholy, ending on a positive note. Aside from standalone films, there are plenty of movies that tie into beloved anime series such as Inuyasha. Fortunately for fans, Netflix actually has all 4 of the Inuyasha films available to stream. It's best to start at the beginning, however, with the first of these films, Affections Touching Across Time. In this film, a demon named Menumaru has been released from his imprisonment to take vengeance against Inuyasha, whose father defeated Menumaru's father 200 years previously. Under the enchantment of Menumaru's lackeys, Kagome ends up pinning Inuyasha back to the tree where she found him at the start of the anime series. Her guilt and some prodding from Inuyasha's former lover, Kikyo, drive Kagome back to her own era, the modern age, where she finds she is still able to communicate with Inuyasha through time, and she finds the strength to return to the feudal era and help her friends defeat the demon who is threatening them all. This is an excellent choice for anyone who is feeling nostalgic for those late nights they spent watching Inuyasha on Adult Swim, rooting for Inuyasha and Kagome to finally come to terms with their feelings for each other. Though, like the series itself, the film keeps that slow burn going strong. Though the Berserk manga has been running in Japan since the late 80s and has seen various anime adaptations since the late 90s, there is something about Kentaro Miura's dark fantasy series that keeps cultivating new fans. Those fans can't possibly miss the 3 films that adapt the manga's Golden Age arc, all of which are available on Netflix. The first chapter in this series of films, The Egg of the King, follows series protagonist Guts, who finds himself forced to join the company of Griffith, leader of the Band of the Hawk. The 2 men come across a demon named Nosferatu Zod, who warns Guts about Griffith. There's plenty of intrigue and violence as a failed assassination attempt forces Guts to do something that, even though he is a hardened mercenary, fills him with guilt and regret. The Egg of the King sets the stage for the complicated relationship between Guts and Griffith, so viewers will want to follow this installment up with the battle for Doldre and the Advent, thus completing the arc. Director Masaki Yuasa, already an established director in Japan, skyrocketed to Western fame at the beginning of 2019 with his extremely successful adaptation of Go Nagai's Devilman in the Netflix original series Devilman Crybaby. Since then, his films The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, Lou Over the Wall, and Ride Your Wave have graced movie screens all over America. Lou Over the Wall is now streaming on Netflix, bringing Yuasa's delightfully strange animation style into living rooms everywhere. The film centers on moody high school student Kai, who lives in a quiet fishing village and enjoys producing music in his spare time. When he posts a video of his work online, a couple of schoolmates, Yuho and Kunio, see it and convince him to join their band. They practice out on Merfolk Island, a place tied to the town's legends about fearsome mermaids. While playing the music, Kai hears a mermaid song and becomes friends with Lou, a tiny mermaid with a penchant for singing. Of course, he tries to keep Lou a secret from the town until she plays a concert with their band and accidentally becomes famous. The movie explores the relationship between Kai and Lou, as well as the harmful prejudices humankind perpetuates. The visuals don't disappoint, with Yuasa's signature stretched-out movement sequences in full force for jazzed-up dance numbers and all kinds of water acrobatics. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about anime are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.